Hello, and welcome to The Connection. This podcast is about building and understanding the connection we have with others and with ourselves. It is my hope that through this podcast you will learn to have more joy and fulfillment in your life. I'm your host, Jared Hurst. This week, I want to talk with you about an interesting concept that I've been aware of for a while, and I feel like I'm starting to get the hang of it a little better. I feel like it's starting to make more sense to me because there are nuance to it that I don't always feel like I've had a good grasp on. And that concept is surrender. I had some really interesting epiphanies about surrender. But before I jump into those, I want to talk with you. I'm going to share two different stories with you. I'm going to jump into the first. It's one of my favorite stories. There's a woman by the name of Jen Sincero, and she has a book called You Are a Badass. I really enjoy her book. It's got a lot of really interesting concepts, and it's kind of an introductory to personal development, manifesting, energy, different things like that, if you've ever really delved into that kind of stuff. And she has this analogy, and I really love this analogy. And she says, imagine that you're sitting outside. I'm going to paraphrase this. Imagine that you're sitting outside and you see this beautiful butterfly, and you decide that you want to have this butterfly. So you spend all of your effort trying to capture this butterfly. But it's not until you sit down, relax, and lay on the grass that the butterfly of your dreams comes and lands on your nose. And I've really loved that idea, both from a career purpose aspect, from a friend aspect, from a romantic aspect. This idea that this beautiful butterfly that's meant for us will come into our lives when we're ready for it. That if we continue to chase it and try too hard to hold on to it, that it just flies away. And I think there's some really valuable lessons to be learned from that. The thing is, you've probably seen this in your life, maybe you haven't, but if you hold too tight onto something, it will leave. I've been guilty of that on a number of occasions. Because I have this issue around abandonment, I have a tendency to hold on to people too tight. And as you hold on to people too tight, you push them away. People, nobody, no thing, no whatever, energetically, when you're holding on to something too tight, it feels restricted, it feels forced. And so those things leave our lives. I know there's been times that I've held on too tight to people in many aspects of my life, friends and romantic, where because I held on so tight, it made an uncomfortable situation and then those things left. I've been guilty of it recently. I've made some really terrible mistakes in the last 4 months, where I tried to hold on to things way too tightly, and I regret that. But there's nothing I can do about it now. The thing is I think there's a really important concept there of recognizing that you need to allow things to come to you, both energetically from the standpoint that the right thing is going to stay. Your butterfly, whatever that is, your work, your friends, your romantic interests, your butterfly is going to come and land on you and stay with you when you are open to it. And I think also it's important to understand to be open to what it looks like, because I'll talk about this a little bit more, but we have this vision in our mind of this is what things are supposed to look like. And the reality is things very seldomly end up looking like what we think they're going to look like. I think there's an important lesson to be learned with that, and I'm going to share with you this epiphany that I had around things not looking the way that we think they need to look in our life. But I want to share with you one other story. It's this concept. There's this woman, she was a keynote speaker at a Tony Robbins event that I attended virtually. Her name is Jamie Kern-Lima. She's got a really cool, inspirational story. I'm going to try and condense this down a lot into a really short period of time. But Jamie had rosacea. If you're not familiar with it, it's like the redness on your skin. And she had this issue where she was doing, I think it was the news or something like that, something on television. And her makeup under the hot lights would start to melt, and I guess it gets runny. I don't know enough about makeup. But my understanding is her rosacea would start to show through. And so she made this decision that she was going to go out and develop a makeup for people like her. And she had this desire, this knowledge that she wanted women everywhere to understand that they're beautiful. And she wanted to promote her product with women of different colors, shapes, sizes, skin tones, whatever issues. And she wanted everybody to know that they're beautiful in their own way. And that's how she wanted to promote her product. And so she went out and she tried to get a distributor, and they all said no. Then she tried direct sale, and it didn't work. Then she tried more competitors, and then she tried QVC, and they all said no. And then she found an investor, and they said no. And then she went to QVC again, and they said no. And then she went to, I think it was a business, and they said no. And then she went back to QVC, and they finally said yes. And this is over a 3-year period of no, 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 no. And the thing is she knew what she wanted, and she knew why she wanted it. And she was unwilling to give up on that dream. But the way that she thought it was going to look at the beginning is not the way that it ended up looking at the end. And I think that's important. I think these two concepts are really important. That I think it's important that we have unrealistic expectations about what we want. We need to know what we want and why we want it. We need to have this unrelenting energy and effort and activity in order to create the thing that we want. But at the same time, we need to be willing to surrender to how it's going to look and when it's going to show up. Because there's things that happen in our lives that we do not yet understand. We grow as individuals and change as individuals, and there are things that we are not aware of. Things that God, the universe, the law of improvement, whatever you want to call it, that things change over time, and we're not ready for things at the times that we think we're ready for them. I know when I started my Instagram, I was ready to have everybody look at my Instagram videos and be like, this is amazing, and be excited about it. But if I would have had success right away, I never would have grown in the ways that I've grown, and I would never be the person that I am now if I would have had success right away. And when I started my podcast, if I would have had success right away. And when I've dated, if I would have had success right away. And when I've tried to be successful in real estate, if I'd had success right away. I wouldn't be trying to be a podcaster and a public speaker and a writer and somebody that can make a difference in people's lives and help people learn to love themselves and regulate their emotions and change their identity and all those things if things would have came easy to me. If I wouldn't have got divorced twice, if my girlfriend wouldn't have left me, if I wouldn't have struggled at work, if I wouldn't have. And the things that I knew that I wanted have changed. The things that I knew that I wanted to create have changed. And I believe that that's an important skill, to understand that as we grow and as we change, the things that we want and the things that we desire change. But when we have this goal, when we have this dream of what we want in life, We have to put in the work. We have to keep trying, and we have to be willing to fail over and over again, because it's through failure that we learn, and it's through that learning that we develop our skills. And as we develop our skills, that's what allows us to actually create the dream that we have inside of us. This beautiful dream that we have inside of us of what we want to create, whatever that might be for you. And it doesn't matter what that is, but there's something that's in your heart that you know that you want to have, that you want to create. And those dreams shouldn't just be put down. Those things should be pursued. But recognize that each dream has levels to it and has progression to it. You have to be willing to go through all those steps in order to get there. You know, when I'm talking about this idea of that we don't know yet what we want, I can think of so many things in my life. When I first started out trying to get a degree, I was a computer science major, because I thought that I wanted to create video games, because I liked playing video games. So of course they're going to be fun to make. Nope, wrong. So didn't work out for me. Then I decided I wanted to be a therapist, but then I decided it was too long in order for me to get my degree in that. And so I got to be a business finance major, and that turned into being an underwriter, and that turned into being in banking, which turned into being in real estate, which turned into doing what I'm doing right now. I'm still doing real estate, but I'm also working to create this new life for myself as well. And I'm so happy that I am. But if you would have talked with me 24 years ago, I would not have known that this is something that I would want to do. And it took all the things that happened over the course of my life to get to this point. And it's something I'm incredibly passionate about, and I am so excited that I get to do. I know I'm going to be successful at this. I know I'm going to make it work. And I'm not going to ever stop trying until I get there. But I had to be open to allowing things to happen in my life for my ideas of what I thought things needed to look like and what I wanted to change and morph over time. If you were to talk to me 6 years ago, I didn't care about going to concerts. I didn't care about hiking. I didn't care about dancing. I didn't care about, pick a thing. I have all these hobbies now that I didn't have then. I had ideas of what I wanted 6 years ago in a relationship. And things have happened over the last 6 years where I have learned to find beauty in things that I had no idea I even wanted in a partner. Beautiful, ridiculously amazing qualities in people that I've loved that I had no idea to even ask for. And that's the same thing in my work. That's the same thing in my friendships. I have had all these things in my life that have morphed. And if you look at your life, you have things that have changed too. There are things now that you never would have thought to ask for, or never thought that you would have loved 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, whatever it might be. And so I think it's important to leave ourselves open, to surrender to this idea that yes, we can have a goal. Yes, we can know where we're going, but also allow for things to be brought into our lives and for things to change. And one of the things that I realized is, as I look at my career, as I look at my friendships, as I look at my romantic partnerships, I realize that those things will change too. So then what do I focus on? What do I focus on, then put all my effort into, and then surrender, and then trust that the right things will come to me and be attracted to me? I think for me, the way I look at it is it's about deciding who I want to be and the kind of people I want to be surrounded by and the kind of activities that I want to be surrounded by. So what are my values? What is my identity? What is my mindset? What kind of things do I gain passion from? And then go focus on who I want to be as a person, and focus on finding people that meet the qualities that I want, and then trust that those things will come into my life and that things will then adapt. Because if I go find somebody right now, let's say right now I say, I'm going to look at this in a romantic way for a moment. If I go look at this right now and I say, okay, I want somebody that's going to hike with me, go to concerts with me, etc. 30 years from now, am I going to be going hiking? Maybe. But there's a possibility my body no longer allows me to do those things. Am I going to be going to concerts? I sure hope so, but who knows? But if I find somebody that has the qualities and values that mesh with who I want to be as a person, and we continue to grow together as people, then we are also going to adapt the things that we want to do and the experiences we want to have together as a partnership. I think the same thing is true with your work. The same thing is true with your friendships. That if you have an idea what kind of person you want to be and what values you have, and then you go after that thing. So like me, I want to help people. I want to make a difference in people's lives. I want to help people learn to love themselves, and I want people to understand how beautiful and incredible they are. And I have this vision of what that's going to look like right now. But I also am surrendered, and I'm taking massive action towards that. So I have a vision of what I want. I'm taking massive action to move me towards it. But I am also surrendered to that things may happen and come along the way. If all of a sudden tomorrow somebody messages me and says, I have this incredible opportunity for you, and I can see that it's going to allow me to choose my path and achieve my overarching goals of helping individuals, but it doesn't look like what I thought it was going to look like, I'm open to that. I've surrendered what things have to look like. At the same time, I'm taking massive action to create what I desire. Does that make sense? It applies in so many different ways in our life. I can tell you that there is a difference in my life as I have changed. Things are attracted to me now that were not there, heck, a month ago. I have stuff that came into my life, people that have come into my life, with qualities that have come into my life, and experiences that I never would have thought would happen because I have changed internally. I have changed energetically. I have changed activity-wise. There's things that a year ago are completely different. 2 years ago are completely different. And I can see, like even just in dating, I don't know that I've made massive changes to my dating profiles over 6 years of being single and married and single again. But the kind of people that I've attracted without even trying have completely changed. The kind of people that I meet as friends have completely changed. The social interactions and the conversation topics have completely changed. I don't know how to explain it. Everybody has different explanations for what that is. Some people call it law of attraction. But I know that as my energy has changed, my reality has changed. And I know the same thing is true for you. I really feel that the main thing that I'm trying to talk with you about today is taking massive action and surrendering to what things will look like while having a vision of what you want to create. It feels like an interesting little, almost like a paradox or an oxymoron or something like that, where it feels like there's some kind of conflicting ideas there, but I promise they're not. And the thing that I feel will propel you towards those goals that you have and bring the things into your life that you have no idea are the things that you want in your life is authenticity. And the funny thing about authenticity, I have heard, be authentic. I have heard your energy will attract like energy. I have heard, all these different concepts. And they all sound really good. But they're hard to sustain. It's hard to take on a new identity. It's hard to take on a new energy and just sustain it. But I'll tell you what's made things significantly easier. As I embrace me and take action to be unashamed of who I am. The more bold I am, the more unashamed I am, the more I go after the things that I want, the more that I express my desires, the more that I express my thoughts, the more I'm willing to have people disagree with me, the less I chase the approval of other people, the less I'm worried about forcing connection and allowing connection to come to me. The more I do those things, the easier it is to be authentic. The easier it is to manage my energy, and the more I attract other things into my life. I still struggle. I still have tons of issues I'm dealing with. I'm super excited about some things that are going in my life. I just went to a therapy session and it was awesome. I recognized this massive question that has been inside my mind for almost my entire life that has been driving pretty much everything I do. It's caused me to make some really bad decisions. It's caused me to hurt some people. It's caused me to do things that were not in my best interest. And I'm learning that now because I have a goal of where I want to be with my relationship with myself, and I continue to invest in that relationship. I know that you may not have this grand vision of what you want, but there are things that you want. You may have lost connection with that. It takes a while to find your connection of your desires and your wants. If you've spent a lot of time repressing the things that you want for other people, like I see this with moms. Moms are incredible, beautiful, incredible, selfless beings that sacrifice their lives in order to take care of us. And I see where I've talked with friends just recently, they talk about their moms, where their moms have lost their identity in their children. Whether that's you or there's some other thing where you have just lost connection with the things that you desire, I would challenge you to start asking yourself, what do I truly want? Not what do I need? Because it's really easy to give ourselves only the things that we need in life. But what do I want? What do I desire? And the more that you focus on that, the more you'll gain connection with that. And once you decide what you want, then go after it. Have unrealistic expectations of what you're capable of. Put as much effort and energy into it as you can. And at the same time, surrender that things will not look the way that you want, will not happen in the time frame that you want, but they will happen if you keep trying. I believe in you. I know you can do it. Until next week, remember that you are not alone.